Hello, I'm Conor Meade, and we're here today at the 2015 Canadian Science Policy Conference. And joining me today is Dr. Margaret Dalziel, the Associate Professor with the Conrad Center for Business, Entrepreneurship and Technology at the University of Waterloo, and the Vice President of Research at the Evidence Network. So Dr. Dalziel, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So to get us started off, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about your work and your career and your story.
Okay, well, my current work, I teach at the Conrad Center for Entrepreneurship, and I'm very happy to be at the University of Waterloo. We have very bright and eager students that are especially interested in entrepreneurship. I do research in two areas, in looking at innovation policy, and in particular, how the government can intervene in the interest of greater business success.
Okay.
And the other research area has to do with global value chains. How I got here? That's a long story. I began in a technical space. Math and computer science. I worked for quite a long time at the McGill Center for Intelligent Machines. I ended up doing an MBA and then a PhD in business, worked at the Space Agency, pre-CARN. I worked at the University of Ottawa for a number of years in business school, and 6 years ago I launched with Brian Barge the Evidence Network.
Okay.
So that's a company that evaluates business support programs.
So can you tell us a bit more about the Evidence Network, the work that you do, your goals, what makes the organization unique and what makes it important?
Well, that's a great question. My co-founder and I both had experience in the innovation space. We both have scientific backgrounds. We both worked for innovation intermediaries. He worked for the Alberta Research Council, Canadian Microsystems, and Ottawa Economic Development. I worked at the Space Agency, pre-CARN. And we felt that these organizations do have the capacity to offer value. They're not uniformly good, like any class of organizations, but they do have a capacity, but they're often not given, let's say, due regard because they don't have a legitimacy. And you earn legitimacy by showing what you're accomplishing. And these organizations don't have a good way of showing what they're accomplishing. So we set out to devise a new methodology for evaluating them.
Okay.
What our methodology offers that others don't is it's universally applicable. And it can be done quickly with very fine-grained results that provide a lot of information, not just on whether or not the organization is having an effect, but a lot of information on how that effect is being achieved and how it might be improved.
Okay, that's very interesting. So we've been talking a lot about evidence-based decision-making and public policy here at the Canadian Science Policy Conference. So I wonder if you could tell us, what do you think are some of the best ways to incorporate evidence in the policy process?
So in my field, social sciences, there is a lot of evidence in terms of what works in terms of designing business support programs and what makes them effective. And so governments do have an opportunity to leverage the research literature. But it's hard for governments to access the research literature because it's a bit obtuse sometimes.
Yeah.
So that'd be the first step, leveraging the knowledge that's already out there. The second step would be, I'd say, to maybe heed the advice. You know, there's a lot of advice given by economists and innovation policy people in terms of what could be done in Canada. And of course, democratically elected officials have to make sure that they're responding to the democratic wishes of their constituents. But I think we could do a lot better in terms of leveraging the advice that's available, being willing to make changes, to experiment where that will offer valuable information. And to really do the best we can in all areas of endeavor, including government support of business.
Absolutely, yeah. So for the benefit of our viewers, where would be the best place for them to visit to learn more about your work and to dig a little bit deeper into some of the topics we discussed right now?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So for work that the Evidence Network is doing, you can go to the Evidence Network's website, which is the Evidence Network. For work that I'm doing at the University of Waterloo, I have a profile on the University of Waterloo website, and I would be happy to share publications with any interested people. I occasionally write popular pieces in, say, publications like Research Money or others. So I'm going to have an upcoming article there.
Excellent.
So.
All right, well, once again, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Dalziel, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
My pleasure.
Thank you again.
Okay.
Cheers.